Hey YouTube, welcome. It's your favorite mega church cult survivor, Leah Lauder. I spent 18 years in a mega church cult, and I'm live. I'm live on TikTok and I'm live on Instagram. And I've been doing a series on religious/spiritual psychosis because a lot of these severely indoctrinated church cult trolls are online. Oh, why is everyone saying spiritual religious psychosis? I think they're doing their big one. They think they're doing their big one coming on the internet chatting human fecal matter. Like, the thing is, because their mogs and their leaders are so uneducated and they just say like demon, devil, demon, and they're in there, they're so vulnerable. It's like they just get away with saying and doing everything. So when they come into this chat, it's like all of that incantations, love bombing, gaslighting, human fecal matter, it doesn't work with us. You know, the mystical manipulation. You lot, I remember early when I first started speaking out, right? And it was like I just shut them down completely before I even came in the cut. Because in my mind, I'm not chatting to them because I know what it's like to be severely indoctrinated. God, give me a scripture. I don't need to give you a scripture. My tagline was, let's speak to Bishop Richard and find out why he swept and covered up grape and essay under the rug. Then once we've started speaking about the ABUSNE in the church cult, then I'm willing to discuss scriptures, do praise and worship, do worship, all of that with all the trimmings. But first we need to discuss what's going on in the cult. Then we can talk about scriptures. Let's talk about safeguarding, protecting the most vulnerable people that walk through your doors every single day, and then we can start to talk about scriptures. All right, my love, because I was in there for 18 years. So when it comes to ritualistic recitation of scriptures through mystical manipulation and mega church human fecal matter, your girl is the queen of it. That's why I call myself queen of the mega church cults. All right, so scriptures is not something I need to be pulling up. Yeah, all right. So let's look at what religious or spiritual psychosis is. I've done a video on YouTube already. So YouTube, go and check it out. It's a really good one. I've taken a lot of time to edit it so that it's an easier watch for you guys. Please bear in mind that I'm ill, so I look at MESS share. All right, let's get into it. Spiritual psychosis, what is it? It's a state where spiritual or religious experiences become so intense that they impair the individual's ability to distinguish reality from perception. That's the main thing. So it's this, it impairs their ability to be able to decipher reality from distorted reality because they're in trance-like states, they're in mind-altered states 24 hours a day. Do you know what I mean? They don't have the mental capacity to even make decisions for themselves. We've covered the prefrontal lobe. We've covered the amygdala brain, those elements of the brain functioning that literally get rewired and shut down because you're not using it. You're not making your own decisions. There's no autonomy. There's no critical thinking. There's nothing. Do you see what I mean? So those parts of the brain just get shut down. All right. So I'm really going to be looking at some evidence-based research here, really going into this. So let's get ready. So psychosis isn't a religion or a belief system. It's a state where reality testing breaks down. People can have delusions, fixed false beliefs, hallucinations, disorganized thinking, behavior, and negative symptoms. So this is like flat affect, withdrawal, shutting down. These are the same core features, whether the content is religious, political, or anything else. So what I need you to understand is that spiritual and religious psychosis is different from psychosis because there will be religious or spiritual elements attached to it. The reason why I use spiritual instead of religious psychosis for these wacky backy cults is because I think there's more of, well, I use religious and spiritual, but I think with all of the mind alter practices, the occult, like they're like magicians. There's a lot of like incantations, there's a lot of hypnosis, there's a lot of trance-like states. So I feel like it's kind of 50-50. So the terms are interchangeable. Okay. So religious/spiritual psychosis isn't a formal diagnosis in the DSM-5 TR. And the DSM is basically a diagnostic and statistic manual of mental disorders. So it basically allows us to assess, to be able to, so from a psychiatric diagnosis from a psychiatric diagnosis standpoint. So the different typologies of psychosis are recognized by this diagnostic and statistical manual of mental disorders. However, when it comes to religious and spiritual psychosis, clinically, professionals describe it as psychosis without religious content. So, e.g., God has given me a unique mission, demons control my thoughts. So, when you hear them saying a lot of demon, devil, this, that, that's what exasperates the mental health. That's what exasperates them to go into full-blown psychosis. You've got people that are vulnerable, that are already, struggling with their mental health. They might have gone into psychosis before. Please like up the live on TikTok. Oh. So importantly, the DSM also created a non-pathologizing category, religious or spiritual problem, for faith crises, conversion struggles, or spiritual conflict that are not mental disorders. All right, and I want to break this down a little bit. The reason why they're not classing them as mental disorders under the diagnostic chart is because with religious and spiritual psychosis, it can be exasperated by the environment. So sometimes during that specific time, they might have exasperated delusions, hallucinations as a result of being in that environment. With therapy and whatever, in about 3 to 4 months, they can come out of that. Do you understand? Whereas psychosis, obviously that process will take longer because it's not exasperated by the environment. It might be trauma, it might be it within the genealogy. Do you understand what I'm saying? Whereas with spiritual religious psychosis, it's not like there's a member that's got a family history of many people that have suffered from mental health or psychosis, and so we can see that genealogically that they may be more susceptible because of their family history. Okay. But with this religious and spiritual psychosis, you have people who have come from liberal backgrounds. Their parents have been Buddhist. They have had no experience or no exposure to these environments, so therefore they were fine when presenting or walking into the environment. Also, somebody could have been schizophrenic or studied or suffered from that, or had mental health struggles, difficulties, whatever, that didn't include the religious element of it. So maybe before they would shout in the street and start, I don't know, a walkout NAKED. Since they've been going to the church cult now they start going into the streets and shout in tongues and walking around dazed out. And so do you see what I mean? It adds the religious part into it. But where there's a fine line between religious psychosis and then psychosis, the medical professional would have to assess you over time to make sure that your mental health hasn't been exasperated by the hyper-religious environment and there's something deeper. So it could be a personality disorder. It could be, do you know what I mean? Because when church cult survivors present to mental health professionals, they have to assess you over time to rule out CPTSD, PTSD, spiritual psychosis, to see if there's something more sinister going on beyond the surface. All right, is this making sense, guys? Because I really want to break it down for the uneducated trolls so that they understand Wagwan. All right, okay, let's move on. So I want to say that within the diagnostic manual, there is an area which covers faith crises, conversion struggles, or spiritual conflict. Okay. So it is recognized within a strand of psychosis within crises, mental health, that which could exasperate their current psychotic episode. Okay. I just want to mention that. So it is recognized. I do also feel and believe that as more survivors are coming out of these abusive environments, are accessing mental health, therapeutic services, I do believe that, as time goes on and it progresses, that it will go on the diagnostic chart, because I think we're going to have an epidemic that they're going to struggle to deal with and manage. Queen Lucy are in the car. All right. That distinction exists precisely to avoid labeling normal religious experiences as illness. So that's how we can distinguish it, my love. Because if you're in a hyper religious environment and they're doing up, we learned that there's what is it? Temporal temporal lobe epilepsy. That's what you lot are doing up. When people are claiming that they're getting delivered and they're rolling out on the floor and so-called manifesting, people are shaking out their eyes are rolling backwards. It's called lobe, um, temporal epilepsy lobe, whatever. I'm going to talk about it now a little bit so that we can have a really basic understanding of what this is, because these guys are like they're magicians. They don't have the heart of Christ. They're not kind. They're not loving. They're not. So they use other means and ways of doing things. Do you understand what I'm saying? So the temporal lobe epilepsy in church cults is a neurological condition where seizures come from part of the brain that processes emotion, memory, and spiritual experience. During a seizure or aura, people may feel intense fear or euphoria, deja vu or visions, hearing voices or music, out of body or mystical experiences. So this is where they can confuse deliverance, etc. And the deliverances are a lot of the time ABUSE when you look at church cults like UCKG, etc. Okay. And so we know that it's just because you see people shaken out, you see people's hands shaking, you see it's just a trauma response because the body keeps the score. All right. So it's nothing to do with anointing. It's nothing to do with that. All right. So in church cults, these neurological events are often misinterpreted as the Holy Spirit possession or deliverance manifestations. Someone shaking, falling, speaking strangely, or crying during worship might actually be having a seizure, not a spiritual encounter. So there has been times where people have had seizures, psychotic episodes across many church cults, and they have been praying over them. You know, it's only when people started to foam at the mouth, they then called the police. Similarly with the young person that was having a psychotic episode, because they believe that psychosis, mental health, whatever, are demons. For lack of knowledge, our people perish. All right. That's why they're looking like idiots outside in these streets. It's called idiocracy. All right. So that's what they're doing up. That's why people are looking at them in 2025 and saying, nah, something's not right. This is giving idiot. Do you get it? All right. So strangely, the crying during worship, it might not be an actual spiritual encounter. Again, trauma, musical, mystical manipulation, hyper religious environments, heightened emotional triggers that are going off that are making people a lot more susceptible to this mystical manipulation. All right. When we've got the people who are really sold out, they're in transcendent states, trance-like states. These mogs and whatever are literally hypnotizing people and trying to say that they're doing it in the name of God. There's like, how many people are on here? There's 44 people. Can you like up the live, please, guys? So leaders exploit this. They present neurological symptoms as proof of God's power or demonic warfare. This keeps members in awe, fearful, and more easily controlled. So it keeps them trapped in the self-sealing system. That's why when you're hearing, that's why they do a lot of demon, devil, casting out, warfare. They're incorporating us versus them. They want you isolated from the world. They want you to be afraid and scared of the world. Hey, Gems. Yeah, it keeps them in an emotional state. They're emotionally manipulating people. So understanding the temporal lobe epilepsy, it shows us that not every manifestation in church is supernatural. Sometimes it's just the brain firing differently, something needing care, not spiritual exploitation. So again, in these camps, you see people and it's like that it looks like we need to call 911. I did that video exposing Karis when the girl was in a spiritually psychotic state. Instead, they're praying over them. They're seeing it as, like it's manifestation, it's anointing. Like there was a camp that Karis did up and the survivor lived to tell the tale, and she said it just looked like demonic possession, but David Antry was saying it was deliverance and whatever. So they're mislabeling the meaning of things. Remember I said that they turn things upside down. Love equals hate, hate equals love. Like that, it's very warped in there and very perverse because of the warped, dark, reprobate mind of the malignant narcissist, which is the cult leader. Okay. All right. So let's get back onto the diagnostic manual chart that we were looking at here. But I thought it was important to just throw that in there so that they understand that we're not going to be gaslit by their human fecal matter. And if they think that going on the streets and doing up this is effective, it's just really not. Do you understand? Because, sorry, YouTube. Remember, this is ghetto. I'm trying for them to see me, but it's so hard. I'm trying to get them to see the background, but it's so hard. Yeah. Wait a minute. All right. Let me move a bit this way. Yeah. And then Instagram, I'll move that. I want people to see the girl, but you can't really see it. All right. Let's move on. Yeah. And then a survivor on TikTok is saying to them, which in turn, it makes them dependent on the environment. And I totally agree. That's their main goal, is to make you codependent on the environment, and they form trauma bonds. And that's why when we come out, we're afraid to make friendships, to trust again, to form normal relationships. Do you know what I mean? Because the person's been wearing a mask and they've been a narcissist just lying. Do you get it? And also, when we come out, we need to heal so that we don't attract unhealthy dynamics of relationships. All right. Okay. Importantly, the DSM also created a non-pathologizing category, which is religious or spiritual problems, crises for faith, conversion, struggles, or spiritual conflict that are not mental disorders. That distinction exists precisely to avoid labeling normal religious experiences as illnesses, as I've said, but I wanted more of a clean recording there. A belief is considered delusional when it's immovably held despite clear contradictory evidence. So when we're giving them facts, we're giving them evidence, like V to V when their Pastor Douglas essayed some gal them in the church court. What he then got sentenced to 7 years and had to do that time. And the members were outside of the court crying and praying for Douglas. All right. So it's when it goes into that, the delusions. I also want to argue that these young, vulnerable, naive, easily impressionable people who are rallying around an old, washed up uncle, that is also given spiritual psychosis. It's the sense of belonging. It's the need for a father figure. It's the need for parenting, for love, etc. That is why young people are easily targeted and easy to recruit, especially if they come from backgrounds where that, you know, their mum hasn't been around, they haven't had love, it's really dysfunctional upbringings, you know, like all of that. Sorry guys, I just need to get comfortable. All right. So again, you can see here, it's the delusion, it's the delulu behavior, okay? It's when there's factual evidence, like we've presented facts that your pastor's a thief. Multiple survivors are coming forward. Guys, even if, let's say they're in the cult, they're really happy, survivors are coming forward, it doesn't resonate with you, you know, maybe you've had a really good time there, but critical thinking, empathy, compassion, kindness, just having love and respect for your fellow neighbor as a human being, you should be able to say, do you know what, it hasn't happened to me, I am going to stay here, but my heart goes out to all the victims, like I'm really sorry, like, but there's an EVIL, there's a disconnect, they're absolutely indoctrinated, they've been programmed to see anyone and anything that comes against the cult as attacks, as spiritual warfare. As so, do you see? We're seeing those delusions. We're seeing the hyper religiosity. They think that we're out here just throwing. It's not about that. It's your behavior. We can tell it's a cult through your behavior, through the members' behavior. That's an outcome. You lot have lost it, yeah. So stop being on the internet. I swear down, yeah. If I hear one more thing, I'm gonna do something that's just gonna shut it all down because I've had enough. I've had a blood clot enough. You lot better get religious psychosis out of your mouth because you don't even know what it talks about. I'm talking on it because I'm a qualified professional. I got a social work master's. I got a friggin' youth, and you lot might not think youth and community degrees nothing, but it's got me to hair, right here. It trained me to be in this position today. Youth and community work is one of the hardest subject areas that you will ever do in your life. They don't know what youth and community is, bro. So it's just many different disciplines. I'm a specialist in that area, working with gangs. So I've got experience of working with high control groups, all right? So I'm not just throwing around terms. Do you understand? I'm qualified. I'm a qualified professional, a registered qualified professional, given my psychoanalysis and based off over 20 years experience working in these settings, because I'm 38 years old and 18 years lived of experience in high control groups, and more years if I total my CCE, being in with GMs and being on the streets, it's longer than that, having experiences with high control groups and ABUSE. So let's not go there anywhere. Yeah. That's why they HATE to see me coming, because I'm a GNG specialist. So that's their bread and butter. They love it. They glorify it, like because you got to understand with this faith, they're a bag of nerds. Do you know what I mean? Not many people have come from the streets. It's all fake GMs in there. You know, they were just victims, you know, like foot soldiers, like getting sent out. But they go in there and they sell it like, I was the top shotter in my ends. The main GM of Bricky. You get me? They go and over sensationalize it. They exaggerate it, yeah. And they're all in there like, woo! You know the little gal them that haven't lost their V's and they just grown up the second gen. They look at the bad boys. That's what they're like, and then they move like they're tough, like bad man. Do you know what I mean? Like in church, it's laughable, it's pathetic. Like that's what they've resulted these man them to. It's sad. So that's why they become really soft and weak, because they emasculate the men in there. So that's why men's libido goes down. They have erectile dysfunction. That's why my church cult did a little camp on it. I know of a husband that was attending these church cults and he had to take Viagra. He was 28 years old. Yeah, in his marriage, because he couldn't do, because the guy's libido goes down. All they're interested in is saving the lost, winning the lost at any cost. They don't program them to be good lovers. If they program them to be like that, like Karis has programmed them to look like doled up jam tarts, then they would be doing that up. Do you understand what I'm saying? But they're not, chair, because they don't program that with them with that. They program them that marriage is a ministry. It's your first duty. It's like, it's transactional. They teach it like it's brother and sister. It's like, it's kingdom building marriage. That's what they've packaged it into. Not companion, not lover, not your, not, it's not about that. It's moved so far away that it's a reflection of the marriages of the cult leaders and the mogs. They haven't blown out their wives back for like a decade. And they've become brother and sister. But a lot of these high up mogs and whatever, they're on the DL anyway. There's a lot of things I can't say, guys. Don't ever get it twisted. It's not that women haven't been coming forward and LGBTQ plus men haven't been coming forward to expose pastors. I'm sitting on information of pastors, well-known pastors that are DL, LGBTQ plus in relationships and in love with their church cult members. Family members have come and told me, but I can't come and divulge that information. Yesterday, I got a whistleblower come and inform me about an RPF member that is very serious. I can't mention it because I'm not allowed to. It puts other people at risk. There's a lot of information and I have to sit here and be patient and move with the survivors and what I can share and what I can't. So when people are like, let God, baby, I let God, trust me. Because if I wanted to breach confidentiality and whatever and be exposing up these pastors with receipts, it would be their chair. Oh God. If you're my color and you're doing up that, what you just said, you're completely lost, chair. You need to go to your GP and get some support, maybe get put on meds, because I've done a whole feature on that. They don't even like us. Do they know that you're doing that up? Do they know that you believe that? Are they letting you inside? because they don't make people like us, appoint us nothing. It's all based off acism and all that, my love. So if you're on here like wrong and strong, claiming I'm a loud, they don't even accept you, chair. So that's just giving internalized HETE of self, chair. But we do, because of colonization, because of laboring, and it's the same model in the churches, because that's what feels like home to us. That's what feels like love, because it's in our epigenetics. All right. So a belief is considered delusional when it's immovably held despite clear contradictory evidence and is not explained by the person's cultural or subcultural context. This is exactly how clinicians separate culturally shared faith from idiosyncratic, impairing belief. Religious themed delusions are common across psychotic disorders. All right. So again, I said this earlier, they're common across psychotic disorders. It's very hard to distinguish between psychosis and religious psychosis. However, when we look at the cultural backgrounds of this, there are people that have had absolutely no exposure whatsoever to these type of environments. They come in and then everything is religious psychosis in nature. It's as a result of being in that hyper religious environment. So it could be that they're praying in tongues, shouting, running around the town center. Do you know what I mean? It could be that in their head covering. Do you get it? Like, so that's an exasperated demonstration of behavior from RPF. Like, we see that they're like that Monday to Sunday, they're always on TikTok. But when it gets exasperated, it moves into psychosis. Now she's taken it out of that environment and is now going into the world, maybe going into Sainsbury's, running in Sainsbury's, NAKED, with her head covering on. Do you understand what I'm saying? That's religious psychosis. I also want to add, because they've been coming for like, I don't even know, maybe New Age, like talking about but New Age is a new religious movement. So what I'm here to show is that Christianity and New Age movements and whatever, they're all the same, just like all of them, because they're NRMs. Pentecostalism is the same as New Age, all right? So when they're going around saying, oh, when people say that they're doing it to crystals and they say that they call it for angels and whatever, you don't say that they're spiritually psychotic. Yeah, my love. Because we've got free speech and free will. Anyone's allowed to believe in anything. If they want to, and they don't believe in crystals or whatever, but that's your ignorance. If people are working with crystals or tarot cards or whatever it is that they're doing, they're not sitting there speaking to themselves, my love. They're not neglecting their children, going into a tarot card conference, and they're in there 24 hours a day, and they're giving all the money to the tarot card master, and they're not feeding their kids. All right, my love. They're neglecting their kids. They're not going to parents' evenings, and they're not going to things for their kids because they're staying at home shuffling tarot cards and frigging talking to angels. If they're working with deities and it's different, and they're not, it's when it moves into hyper religious psychosis. So you can sit there and point the fingers and keep demonizing people and trying to degrade and be patronizing, because that's the only spirit y'all have, and be judgmental. But the thing is, you're not looking at yourself, and that's why it's all coming crumbling down. You're not looking at yourself, bro. It's the exasperated behaviors. So someone can be going to church, attending their service, in ministry, but they're not in there 24 hours a day, to the point where they're failing their university subjects because they're in this environment so much. And there's a camp, and they had one last chance. The teacher said, you've got one last chance. And then they decided, as a sacrifice, they're going to go to this camp because they can't get that experience again, but they can retake their modules. That's how radical they are. But you got someone who's shuffling their cards in uni and getting first, my love. They're not in trance-like states. They're not getting indoctrinated by a cult leader somewhere. Do you see the difference? Are you getting it? Okay, brilliant. Is it possible that Christianity is the truth, but the leaders are misleading? Babe, I can say what my truth is, but there's no ultimate truth, my love. Yeah, that is different for everybody. God has given us free will. All right. What I will say to you is, according to me, I believe that Jesus Christ is the truth. So wherever you find truth, it doesn't matter where it is, Chair. It could be on Jupiter, Venus, a planet that we don't know currently exists. All right. If there's a truth, example, a certain quantum physics element to it that they need to perhaps develop. Do you know what I mean? To explain that truth. For example, we have things like gravity, relativity. There could be some sort of what I'm trying to explain is very, very above even the terms that I have. But what I'm trying to go into the metaphysics. Do you get it? There will even be truths there for things that we don't know exist. All right. So that's my take on it. However, someone who's atheist, that I can't say what is the ultimate truth, because their truth is not that they believe in Jesus Christ. So if I come and enforce my truths on another person, I'm diminishing their beliefs. I'm devaluing them, because you see, it goes back to my morals and values. So I don't hold religious beliefs. Where it's a bit crazy, because I've got not crazy, but I've got an individual truth, but I don't want to enforce that onto others because of how I've deconstructed. That's because of my morals and beliefs. I just can't do that. It's so low vibrational, and it's not from God, Chair. He gave everyone free will. God doesn't force. All right. Okay. I need to get back to where I was, Chair. All right. A belief is considered, I've said this about a million times, but I'm going to say it again, Chair. A belief is considered delusional when it's immovably held despite clear contradictory evidence and is not explained by the person's cultural or subcultural context. That's so crazy. Doesn't this just open our eyes to what's going on here? They've all lost it. They've all lost the plot, Chair. They've all lost the blood clot plot, and they're all kids. They're all kids in there. Do you know what I mean? In their hyper religiosity, trying to point fingers and say, I don't know why everyone's calling us religious psychosis, because you're brainwashed. We're not talking about the normal ones that just go on a Sunday. Do you know what I mean? Maybe in a ministry, like doing up. We're talking about y'all. giving the thing a bad name. We're talking about you lot that are going to, you know, the Ollies and the Jessies of this world and the realities and the Steps. That's what I'm saying. They're too fast. Like Steps came in, everyone was rallying around him, doing videos with him like he's some celeb, tried to get him. Look at him. He ruined it. Steps has made a whole like, and he's so popular, you know, like on TikTok and with all the young people. He's just made it look like a laughing stock. It's really affected their ability to recruit the young people now, and God did that. Yeah, don't play with God, yeah, because when God does it, woo! Like even with me, like I'm just relentless. Like it's the way God set them up to have me in these spaces, knowing that I am the way I am, knowing that he created me the way that he created me, knowing I got like, it's undiagnosed, but I know I got ADHD, possibly on the spectrum with BPD, yeah. Then I got the Caribbean roots and lineage, the Latina blood in me with the Nigerian, the African blood. It's too much. It's too much. God just created it. I think God just created me specifically for this because I don't give zero minakir. I've got no shame. The Yardi blood in me, the Madame thing where I got the Nigerian queen. You can't chat to me, babe. Do you know what I'm saying? Like it's a no entry zone. Yeah. Chair. I know everyone's going to be waiting to see who my man is, chair. You know, when I get a man, it's going to be like a Thanos vibe. Woo, like chair, like someone's actually decided to go and brace the wilderness. They decided to come into the jungle and try the lioness. But what they don't understand about us, like crazy lover girls, yeah, is that like the coochie's just so good. Like once a guy gets a taste of that coochie, that's it, it's done now. All right, let's move on. And then it's the personality, you know, like you could just vibe with someone, good coochie, good food, relax, or just on a vibe. What more could you want? What more is there to life, chair? Bob the Builder. Oh, hey, how can I engineer a healthy amount of psychosis? I don't understand a word that you've just said, Bob. You got to structure that differently, babe. What do you mean a healthy amount of psychosis? Are you currently in psychosis? Do you have a history of psychosis? Are you currently attending a wacky backy cult like RPF and you want to know how you can control it? In fact, what does that mean, my lovely? All right. Physiological destabilizers. Do you know what's really funny? They come in here and they call me crazy. I'm a druggie. I'm this. I'm that. Can you read physiological destabilizers? For lack of knowledge, our people perish. I'm so glad that God took me through it because you know, like they're so proud in there. Do you know what I mean? Like by the scriptures and the mystical manipulation. So I'm just mirroring them. That's all I'm doing, guys. So it's like I'm really proud, like, you know, oh, I've got this knowledge. And it's how they go on in there. Because I know they're watching. Do you lot clack it? Clack it. They don't know how to play with me because my level of psychology is too much. Because I had to go in and understand why the cult leaders managed to brainwash me the way that they did. I had to really like break it down. All right, let's go. Physiological destabilizers. Severe sleep loss, which is common during revivals, all-night prayers, retreats, rehearsals, camps, can by itself produce a progression from misperceptions. Oh, I see. Okay, so under this mind altered, high control, sleep deprived, like starved, like hyper religious environment where they take them away from for days, it's just exasperated. You're not getting any sleep. You're not eating anything. You're not getting any breaks, etc. All right. So that in itself can be like a precursor to exasperated psychosis, mental health, etc. Because that high level exposure, heightened exposure to trance-like states, hypnosis, mind-altered states, etc., that can push them into full-blown psychosis, schizophrenia, because it's just too much. Because then they go into full-blown hallucinations, delusions that look like acute psychosis. Restoring sleep often reduces symptoms. So again, do you see that? That's why they're not, they haven't got it in the DSM, the diagnostic charts. They're not saying that it's like a mental health diagnosis, because some people, it will only last for that brief period. Like it might just last for those 3 days or for 24 hours. Do you understand what I'm saying? And then they come out of that religious, psychotic, delusional state, and then they're just back into mind altered states, or they're on autopilot. You know, that robotic lights are on and no one's home, yeah? So often it would just be like sleep and then maybe therapy, they'll come out of it. Whereas somebody who has a past of a history of schizophrenia, or it's not going to just change in a day, is it? Do you know what I mean? Someone might have to be sectioned. They might have to have inpatient care, be monitored. They might need to be there might need to be surveillance and monitoring due to them being a risk to themselves and others, etc. And this spiritual psychosis, like this momentary or temporal spiritual psychosis that they experience, is being mistaken and misinterpreted for manifestations, spiritual deliverances, experiences with God. Another thing that I find as well is these men are so EVIL, and they're just actors, that when people are like experiencing the move of God, I remember one time I could feel the presence of God chair, but again, it was probably just hallucinations, because I used to see a lot of bright lights when I fainted or my eyes were closed, and that's just because I was so sleep deprived and didn't eat. But he was like trying to cast out a demon, and I was having an experience with God, so they don't know what the hell they're doing in there. Morning, Oracle Mama. Morning, my love. All right, so is this making sense? Okay. Ritual trance, possession states, prolonged chanting, drumming, hyperventilation, spinning are well documented cross-cultural dissociative states. All right. So even the drumming, musical, mystical manipulation in what is it called? Is it, Lucia, is it shamans? Oh, you know, like Native American Indian spiritualism, they use drums. Do you know what I mean? And in spiritualism, they use drums to summon in deities, for incantations, things like that. So there's a vibration in music, okay, that takes us into the metaphysics, that take us into different realms, etc., can make us feel like we're going into different realms and portals and things like that. So again, these ritual trance possession states we can see when we cross-reference it, looking at traditional African spirituality, even like Hinduism, we see with these Krishna cults, they're speaking in tongues. Those are mind-altered states. They're using drums to get people in trance-like states. It's exactly the same. I want to make music for God, but responsibly. Yeah, we'll do it, babe. There's nothing stopping you. I have someone who does shamanic drama. Shamanic, yeah. Oh, is there shamanic drama as well? Oh, yeah, because they do actings in there as well, isn't it? Yeah. But everything in there is mystical manipulation, from the praise and worship to the moment you sit upon your batik crease on the chairs, even how they do the chairs, like first and second rows, the important people. Everything is mystical manipulation in there. Everything is strategy. Oh, I didn't say hello to Instagram. Welcome, Insta. In some people, especially under stress, trauma, these can tip into brief psychotic episodes or be mismanaged as deliverance. So people are going into brief psychotic episodes and people are seeing it as deliverance, okay? Because they're so naive. They've come from comorbid traumatic backgrounds, okay? And that's just a plethora of different trauma, like myself. Boyfriend unalived in police custody. Nan went in for a routine operation for a slip disc, came out disabled for the rest of her life, paralyzed waist down. All of a sudden, I'm having to go Aylesbury, and I'm seeing all these people paralyzed from their neck down in the hospital, and I'm having to see my nan. Several of my boys got unalived in the lead up to my nan unaliving, and my boyfriend. Do you know what I mean? Like, been great. I say, Mo, felt, violated by another female when I was in primary school, a close family friend. Do you know what I mean? That's comorbid trauma. These brothers that have been in and out of jail, their mum was a seahead, their mum was addicted to alcohol and substance misuse, all of that. You come from comorbid traumatic backgrounds. They're all in RPF, Caris, all of these little backdoor church cults that, but they offer a haven, they offer a safe place, they offer like a way out for these young people that are in trauma, that have come from comorbid traumatic backgrounds. All right. Shared induced delusions in tight insular groups. And also, you got to remember, they got them locked away, jail, hyperventilation. So they've got them stuck in they've got them stuck in these churches or these hotel rooms, or wherever they're going, wherever they're doing their camp, wherever they're doing their special deliverance services in a basketball hall. There's no windows, there's no ventilation, there's no natural light. As Soft Life was saying when she was on the live again, it's hyperventilation. So they're stuck in these like very like claustrophobic environments with the drumming, the chanting, people running around, jumping everywhere, flying off the chair. It's just crazy. I can't believe that I stayed in that environment for as long as I did. But do you know what, guys? I was unwell. I was unwell, man. So unwell, had come from comorbid traumatic backgrounds, just up in the head. Do you know what I mean? That I stayed for as long as I did. And it took me, woof, whew, I don't want to get emotional. It took me 18 years. 18 years to see that I was being abused. Because I'd been through so much ABUSE. I just feel like I've been in survival mode my whole life. And that's the reason why I think I know I survived, guys, because when you're in the hood, all you know how to do is survive. Oh, love you too, Gems. I'm sorry, that just got me really emotional. Oh, thanks, babe. You know, this isn't easy. It's not easy for me to sit down and relive this trauma and unpack it. It's not easy, guys. I can't do it. There's something deep in my soul. The moment I wake up, I'm thinking about this. I close my eyes. These cult leaders are getting on with their lives. Just keep recruiting people, doing what they're doing. But what about us? What about me? The after effects. I live with chronic health issues. I've got CPTSD, BPD, Addison's. I struggled for years. Like 6, 7 years, like with hypertension, blood pressure. I haven't even spoken about it. Like, and I weren't taking the medication because I thought it was evil. I was believing in God to heal me and whatever, and it just got worse. And that's how it got into Addison's. And, you know, I weren't taking the medication because they tell you there's like this culture of not taking medication. And oh my God, I think I'm gonna, you know what? I wanted to go out in the rain. I was so tempted and I had to stop myself because I've already been unwell. Really appreciate you and love you lots, Queen. Oh, Ines, I literally adore you. Like, you're such a beautiful soul. And I know survivors, and I can't let you not feel my pain, man. That's why I come on here. Like, I've got a lot of time for the survivors because I just don't feel like anyone else really understands. And I got a survivor whenever I feel like I can't go on, and I just, God, she was in the cult for about over, I think maybe 30 years or something. And it's like, it's the only person I feel like gets it. Like, you know, like being in there for so long and just like them just abusing you. Like, when I think about all the abuse, like, it was just him, like, just treating me like nothing, like, just breaking me down, like, making me feel like I wasn't a human being. And I felt like I always had to prove myself as well. Like, no matter what I did, it just was never enough. I don't know where the toilet paper is. Like, oh, sorry, YouTube. All right, let's get back onto it, guys, because Leah, I love you. Good news. Oh, 36. I think I saw your message actually. I'm at 36. Even when you called, I've just been so down. I'm not even gonna lie. Like, I saw your phone call ringing and I've just been so down. I haven't even been. I've just come out of this episode. I was in a manic episode yesterday. Now I'm down. It's just like up and down. Because I feel like as I'm healing, I'm remembering like a lot more of the trauma. I found an independent journalist. I'm gonna call you after. I know that there are a lot of journalists like looking into these church cults behind the scenes. They've just been doing investigations. That's why I let them stay there. They're called idiots. They're not gonna know what's hit them by next year. They're not gonna know what's hit them, Jay. Coming for all of them. You think you're gonna do this to me? Like now I'm so emotionally unstable. Like I've always been a bit off because of, you know, like my childhood and the things I've had, but it's like this cult just pushed me like to the point, you know, like I'm even seeing that I'm neurodivergent, like, you know, as I'm getting older. Imagine just waking up one day and it just feels like you're in a dream, like imagine waking up one day and then all of a sudden, like, you got these kids, these responsibilities. It was like I woke up and I was in an alternate reality and I was married to this man, like I didn't know, and I had these kids. And it was just so traumatic. And I was never ready for any of it. I was never ready for marriage. I was never ready for anything. I was always ready for my kids. I love my kids with all my life. You're so real with your healing, and that's your power. Oh, I felt that. All I can do is, what else can I do? What else? Because I know a lot of people be like, oh my God, if I had what Leah had, the followers and this and that, I would be doing this. And I'm not on here, guys, doing this as a social media influencer. I'm doing this because if I don't, I'll lose my mind. Like, how can you be hating on someone that's doing something to survive just being their self? Like, there's no, like, you know, premeditated motive or anything like that. Hey, Amira. You know what I mean? And they want to come in and just, it's a mess. I think I needed to let out that little cry. Oh, hey, sis. You alright, babe? Kayla, it's like, it's, and I think it takes me a while to process. There was a survivor that reached out to me. It's so sad. And even, like, she's, like, gone, like, drawn a bit back. It's just the same cycle, you know, like these kids who haven't felt loved from these parents, and you know, they're just there's a lot of neurological stuff going on there. They're like older, like 19, 18, but their mindset is like more of a child, like an 11-year-old. Like they're like kids. Like that's why these type of gal them get abused, essayed, great. Listen, firstly, any man that was coming to to step into my office and want to chat to me, yeah, I'm already an intimidating person. You have to have guts to come and chat to me, all right? I just weren't experiencing that. It's more pred behavior. Like now I was looking back because I didn't think that these man them were doing that. The pred behavior. I was so guys, I don't think you understand. I was already disassociated from my boyfriend's unalivement. My head was in the clouds. You're an empath like me, so it weighs down on your heart. Yeah, girl. And I try to, like, you know, manage it. And if I got bogey, you lot gonna be seeing a lot of snot and bogey and tissue. I can't, you know, because this is just so real, man. All right. So the ritual trance possession-like states, the prolonged chanting, drumming, hyperventilation, spinning are well documented cross-cultural dissociative states. So that's why I say to you, they do it in the Krishna cult. They do it in this. It's not to do with culture. All right. In some people, especially under stress/trauma, these can tip into brief psychotic episodes or be mismanaged as deliberate. So it doesn't just happen within the church, but I talk about this because I spent 18 years in one. Shared induced delusions in tight, insular groups, a charismatic primary individual's delusion can be adopted by others. Folie à deux. So again, you know, they're in these environments where they're all cloned, they're all got the mindset of the cult leader, they're all thinking, acting the same, so they can have shared induced delusions, so they can all smell the same thing. There's phenomenons like that, because I smelt the same thing as another girl, and we were praying. We were in this, guys, we got to Apache at about 6. We didn't leave till about 7 a.m. the next morning, so we hadn't eaten, hadn't slept, come straight from work. We were all having hallucinations, delusions. People were dropping out, like myself. We were claiming that we were smelling like a perfume. Guys, it's wild. It gets wild. So you can have shared induced delusions, like we have shared trauma as a collective, yeah? Because they're going to try everything, but science, this is why they hate HATE science, and I'm going to be here, you're welcome, to make sure that this information is perpetuated into the airwaves, child. Minakir. It's recognized in psychiatry and is more likely when followers are isolated from corrective feedback. All right, so again, we've got the cognitive dissonance, you know, it's an echo chamber in there, everybody's speaking the same. So even if someone sees something physically, like they could walk in on their pastor, lipsing up a gal and in active mode about to blow out the back, and they will walk back and be like, oh, no, I didn't see that. It's like the cognitive dissonance. Oh, I can't see, I've got to wait for that thing to come off. Then we've got medical neurological factors co-opted by spiritual framings. For a minority, conditions like temporal lobe epilepsy are associated with hyper-religiosity and intense numinous experience. Church contexts may mislabel these as anointing or possession instead of medical. All right. So medical neurological factors. So we've got the temporal lobe epilepsy, the hallucinations, the delusions. Do you understand? They can have brief psychotic episodes as well. And instead of calling 999 or taking them to A&E or whatever, they've even got doctors share in these church cults, like medical professionals. And instead of them, you know, doing whatever they need to be doing as a medical health professional, they're there praying in tongues or acting like they don't see what's going on. Yeah. So do you see how they can mislabel it as anointing? So they're mislabeling a lot of medical conditions because they see trauma, mental health, all of that, they see neuroscience and the neurological, factual based evidence as demonic. All right, so they're going to call me demonic for going online and looking at the diagnostic manual testing of mental health conditions. They're going to call me demonic for sitting there and discussing spiritual and religious psychosis, which I am professionally trained to do. They're going to call me demonic. So that's why you're religious psychotic. Do you get it, babe? That's why we know you're unequivocally in a spiritual psychotic state, my darling. Okay. It was all fun and jokes in the beginning, innit? When I first came out and my life was ruined, and I was in like almost like a psychotic state. and I was shouting and screaming from the mountaintops because I was trying to heal, and it was a scream and cry for help because I didn't know where else to go. Mental health services let me down. NHS GPs is human fecal matter. Everybody left me for unalivement. So the only place I could go was the internet. That's why I'm not effing with no one. Like, don't call my phone, bro. Like, if you know me from the past and you have not been effing with me whilst I was in my crazy, like whilst I was down and out and everyone thought Leah had fallen off, don't ring my phone, bro. When you see me make it and I'm now doing TV interviews and I'm doing this and I'm doing that, and don't call me. I only got time for the collective. That's on period, point blank. Like, if I was to make it tomorrow, you lot, I was to make it with my singing, it would be the collective in my music videos. It would be the collective traveling with me. It would be the collective touring with me. I don't F with, like, you lot are my people, innit? Like, that's on period, point blank. I'm not effing with no one else. I don't want no new friends, babes. You get me? Yeah, man. You're going to see the collective and you're going to see my youths. Guys, I'm realer than real. I ain't got time for that. I don't want no new friends. If I became in that world and whatever, you wouldn't see me with celebs or what, you see me with my collective. Write it down. Quote me. Screenshot it. Screenshot it, bro. Because when I was down and out, it was the collective. I will never forget that. It was the collective. Like, you lot are my people, them. On period, point blank. I hope our blood clot make it. I hope our blood clot make it so we can rub it in their faces. I hope our blood clot make it, man. I've got enough gifts and talents within too. I hope our blood clot make it. You get me? Thank you, Chrissy. Human fecal matter on all of them. Let them see us shining, yeah. So they're labeling psychosis and mental health conditions and, you know, schizophrenia, this, that, and the third. They're labeling it as demonic possession, anointing, this, that, and the third. How it happens, the psychology, stress, vulnerability model. Okay, let me start this again because I need it for my YouTube. All right, so let's explore how this happens from a psychological stance point. So when we look at the stress and vulnerability model, we see that the biological sensitivity, so the genetics, the neurochemistry, plus chronic stressors. So remember the genealogy, the genetics. If you've got a histrionic background of many members of your family maybe going into psychosis, schizophrenia, mental health, etc., that can play a part in this as well. Okay. Coercion. So it's all of these toxicity, the toxic, it's like a big toxic mix. And then if we add like the African cultural toxic background with this as well, oh God, it's just another level. Thank you, my love. Is that Preet? Thank you. And guys, once I heal a little bit more, I've got the CIC set up. I'll be banging out everything. I'll be doing, you know, deprogramming. I'm just going to be deprogramming and deconstructing, I think, in person, and doing like deprogramming and deconstructing around, you know, freeing yourself from, you know, just the, you know, that diaspora, just trauma, you know, all of the having narcissistic parents, the subservience, the obedience. I'll do all of that. All right. All right, so the mix of all of these chronic stressors, coercion, fear of hell, public shaming, financial exploitation, loss of sleep, mind-altered states, push the brain into threat mode. Dopamine-linked salience, misfires, neutral events. All right, let me take this again. All right, so all of these factors push the brain into a threat mode. So the dopamine-linked salience misfires, and then we see neutral events feel personally significant. So ideas of reference and like religious narrative supplies the explanation that God is signaling me, witches are attacking me, demons are following me. You know, people become paranoid. That's when it's going into, you know, like temporal psychosis. Do you understand? I remember there was a survivor who, and again, this is a very good case study to use because she's got a histrionic past of like, you know, bunning from 11, drinking from 11, you know, being great with loads of different things, substance and alcohol misuse, a lot of different like mental health runs in the family, all of that. And the environment exasperated the mental health. I remember when she was talking on the phone to me, telling me that people were following her and that she was hearing voices. But in there, you kind of just dismiss it. Do you know what I mean? Because you just care about them being at church. Like, it's mad. Yeah, it's deep, girl. It's very deep. So what I think really triggered me this week was all of the talk that I've been hearing about oh, they just say religious psychosis, they're just throwing it around. Did it? Me, no, when I get triggered, I go into this very dark mode where I'm just gonna give you straight MF facts in the car. Do you know what I mean? Like now they got me going into quantum physics. Now they got me going into diagnostic charts. Now they got me going into you get me like psychiatry. But me not care. You get well, all the information's out there, baby. I don't need to go to university to do A, B, and C and D. I'm educated at master's level, so I can do independent research. I don't need to go and a where and a how and a die and a where and a where. Do you understand? I could just do it from my yard. You understand? So I'm in a cure. Yeah, I'm in a cure. I'm gonna come on and expose. I am Christian, but I ain't joining them cults. Yes, big yourself up, man. I love a woke Christian, yeah. They're my fave. The woke, you see the woke Christians, they're actually my fave. I love the woke Christians that are just, they just don't let all of the human fecal matter weigh them down. You know, they still go to their concerts, they're still living their life like it's golden, but they're just kind, loving people. They just take, they would usually describe these ones maybe as lukewarm or whatever, but they're some of the loveliest people. Do you know what I'm saying? Like, they just embody like the Christ kindness, the lovingness. They're such sweet souls. Do you know what I mean? And the rest, they don't have all of that EVIL attached to them. They're the nicest ones that you can get. So I haven't, it's people like this why I don't give up. I don't just say, I'm not going to F with the Christians, but they have to be woke, chair. All right. So that one is, so do you see how all of that toxic mix, the hyper religiosity from the cult paired with, pre-existing mental health issues that you might have had coming into the cult. That's why you'll notice someone might have been like sectioned, then they've been in the mental hospital, yeah. They've got them on meds, they're doing all right, then they end up in one of these church cults, they're doing all right for 3 to 6 months, maybe even up to a year. Something happens, burst the bubble, straight back into the mental health of their section, never the same again. I know a girl like that in First Love. Never the same again. It's just we just see the same thing happening, and it's like they don't want to talk about it. They don't want to talk about the mental health. They don't want to talk about the psychosis. RPF, you better talk about it because your members are losing their minds every single day, every day, and you know that, and I know that. We all and both know that y'all be in there turning the young people crazy. That's what they're doing in RPF. So when you see them talking a lot about witches, devil, demon, this, that, they're living in fear, and they've got them in a chokehold like that. They're in a hyper religious psychotic state. Saw a guy preaching at carnival, screaming at people. It's mad. Yeah, that's what they do. Religious psychosis, babe. And also retired 304s that want to go in their little tight skirt and their little tight top. We can see all of their body shape. They might as well not be wearing nothing, like Angel and co. Going carnival claiming that you're going to pray. She put up some content flirting with the police officer because gal like that, they're going to use charm and flirtatious, whatever. I'm going to do a thing on it. That's what they do. Them gal, them are 304s. They just use the same thing that they used to do because, especially, the lighties, when they come to Christianity, especially the lighties, they just get the man them to come in through like just charm. Just being a 304, that's what they're used to. The man them, you get me? They used to get man before by doing that. So they just exchange it in Christianity like Angel. Do you know what I mean? That's why I use their picture. Have you been keeping up with the Kingdom of Kubala, aka patch of land in Scotland? Yes, I have. I've been keeping up to date with the Kingdom of Kubala. I've actually recorded them on live yesterday. I find it very fascinating. Again, there, what we're seeing is that's a cult. But there's 3 of them in it, so it's given more of a family cult. And do you know what? It's going to stretch me doing that because I'm going to go into some Sigmund Freud, looking at how they change the dynamics of like family and how people perceive relationships and etc. It's going to be an interesting one. And again, that's what happens when you're in a cult. That's a more extreme heightened example because they're living in the forest and the woods. But is it really that extreme though? Because people are in the buildings 24 hours a day. At least they're getting sunlight. I'll tell you something, babe. I'd rather be in the kingdom of Kabbalah than the kingdom of Dagwood Mills and the kingdom of David Antry. I tell you something straight, yeah. I'd rather be in that Scottish forest, yeah, wearing them leaves, as a top and a skirt, because I F with that. Do you know what I mean? Drinking from the water, the river and all that, yeah. I much prefer to be out in nature because at least, yeah, I'm getting the vitamin D, the little piece of sun. I'd rather be in the kingdom of Kabbalah any day than, that's what I'm saying. A lot of people think it's worse because of the outside, but it's all the same, yeah. It's just people running from self. They want an escapism. Do you understand what I'm saying? Yeah, girl, I love a river, yeah. You know what I mean? Just jumping in the river, naked. You know what I'm saying? That's why, you know me, I'm RADICAR. I had to say to myself, come on, Leah, you know that this is religious psychosis and a cult, because I actually vibe with it. I'd love to go to Kabbalah. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. Are you having a laugh? You get me? You don't tempt me and Lucia and co, you know, because we'll be good. We'll go and drive to Scotland, yeah, and you'll see us in the. That would be good, though, isn't it, for me to go and interview them? Don't you think, guys? Yeah, if I didn't have this disability, oh my god, I would have, I would have so bust. Because I would have been like these radical extremists. Are you on it, Lay Your Roof? I see the video of the wife eating ice cream. They were on there last night, and you know, like really simple things that they're getting, like a flask and like a Bible, and they're talking about it like they're rich. It's crazy. And that guy, apparently the King Kabbalah, he was an Afro hip life artist, isn't it? So again, it's just all he's got complete control over them, and he's just done all of this. He's masterminded it. You can see now that they've got the attention. Do you know what I mean? For social media, whatever. Now we see the financial exploitation and just the exploitation in general. He's got them on there because he's seen that they can get money from TikTok now. People are coming and bringing them gifts, and it's like a cult following they've got. A cult with a cult following. A cult with a cult following. The world is just, do you know what I mean? Like it's upside down. Like you got, you know, all these fake prophets and whatever. They got hundreds of thousands, 500,000 followers, and me, I'm here struggling. I got my little, whatever, couple of thousand. Do you know what I mean? And I'm out here really talking sense. It's like the world is, it's mental health. Like a lot of people, because they're living outside of themselves. That's why there's a spiritual mass awakening, because more people are going within. So it's becoming more clearer who the mentally impaired people are. Anyone who needs a dictator and a man to tell them when they can leave an environment, when they can't, you have to ask for permission to go places, to go toilet, whatever. Do you know what I mean, babe? That's not normal, Jer. All right. So cognitive biases known in psychosis, like jumping to conclusions. Cognitive biases like jumping to conclusions. This is when they come and tell us, you know, like they've been saying to me, I pray that you will find the Lord and God will open your eyes to come out of this stupidness. And you know how they talk, like it's like it's religious psychosis, babe, because you're jumping to conclusions. You're jumping to a conclusion that I don't believe in God, or I don't have a personal relationship with God. That's why they judged me by how I was dressing, because that's what they do. They judge the external. I had my crystals on. So I looked new agey. So they thought I was coming from that background. So they all came in being evil, but they didn't realize the knowledge that I was about to spit, because no new age cult, no new age movement could ever get me, baby. Because I was in a cult for 18 years. So new age is exactly the same as Pentecostalism. They're new religious movements. They ain't no different. So when I see gal them, oh, I used to be into witchcraft and sorcery and now I'm saved and I'm Christian. No, baby, it's all witchcraft. It's all the same spirit, jail. Don't ever get it twisted. Except it's even worse in there because their intention and motive is dark. But they're coming in the name of light. With a pagan, you can see it's so crazy because with pagans, they look really dark and but they're some of the most loving people, like so loving and so sensitive. And oh God, chair. The teachings of Jesus Christ, a phenomenon. That's why God says, my ways are not your ways. It's like my ways are higher than your ways. It's like you will never understand God. That's why it says that God sees the heart of man, but man judges the outward. It's like that thing, that ability where spirituality is invisible. Your love to God is invisible. Like, you know, like who you are. God made it that way so that no one could really, truly be God. That's why when we break it down, they just get exposed. It's only taken me doing, you know, like this is like A-level psychology, chair. I've just brought up some A-level psychology, GCSE psychology and sociology and philosophy, and they're crumbling because they're so uneducated. For lack of knowledge, our people perish. And Dags, the reason why Dags effed up is because I've studied all of his doctrine. I've got his mind. I've got the programming of my ex-cult leader's mind. So it doesn't matter how many books he releases. Out of all of the cults Dags finished, I've even been able to take Paris down, and I've never stepped foot in that cult. Do you understand what I'm saying? That's all because of Dag. All right. I've gone down. I've missed the part, guys. Just bear with me for a minute because these are really difficult. And then I'm going to go and treat myself to a nice breakfast. And I'm meeting up with a survivor later. So I'm really looking forward to it. I'm not in any mood to go out and do anything, but I'm just going to push myself, chair. All right, guys, I was just trying to find where I left off from. Okay, so I'm just going to read this again because this is really important. Cognitive biases known in psychoses, like jump into conclusions and belief in flexibility. So when they jump to conclusions, they're talking at you, they're telling you about yourself, but they don't know anything about you. They're saying you're going to HEL, they're condemning people to whatever. It's psychosis. They haven't got that power. Okay, the malignant narcissists have made them believe that they've got that power through invisible blessings and whatever, because they're in there giving all their money, they're exploiting them. So they've got to make them believe that there's something or there's someone's. Do you understand? Internalized, but on the outside they just look crazy. Treat yourself to a full English, babe. Oh, thanks, Nat. You're such a... Oh, I love you lot, man. Honestly, I absolutely love you. Oh, don't. This one's gonna make me cry. Oh, Ashley, guys, because I've got on the black glasses and my tears, you know, when it's gone all smudgy. Thank you again for an informative, emotive, and down to earth live. Oh, rest up, big love. Oh, thank you, babe. She's got me emotional. So this belief in flexibility becomes supercharged when leaders forbid doubt and demand certainty. So this is bringing in the thought reform program and the loyalty culture that they'll have in there. Okay, so that's where the thought blockers come in. They won't listen to anything that anybody is saying, even when they're presented with facts, even when they don't know the person, because their prophet is a prophet and he's told everybody us versus them. World is evil. Isolation. They've got a very black and white, narrow-minded view and perspective on what Christianity is about. They don't understand the text. It's written in parables and it's mysteries. So because they're so EVIR and they've got reprobate minds, they've made everything external and they've interpreted it as kingdoms, dominions, colonization, like the colonizers, because that's how they brought not Christ. We're not talking about Christ. We're talking about the Bible. We're talking about the Roman Eurocentric, whitey coded faith. All right, we're not talking about Christ walking the earth, because Christ was there from the beginning of time. Thanks for the follow, my love. Christ knows no religion. It was man that took it and tainted it and corrupted it, because Christ was a threat. He came to Christ came to challenge their social structures, systems, political structures, everything, which was the Pharisees. And so they needed to package Christ after he left, because he had already started a movement. So there was the uproar after, there was the people, they were scared that there was going to be, you know, like a mass, like, you know, like riots, like them taking over, like civil unrest. So that's why they created it, packaged it. They packaged Christianity like a cheap $1.99 McDonald's meal. And that's why we have the communion, the ritualistic practices. It's whitey man land. We're in a building. It's very conservative, fundamentalist. We're wearing our suits and ties. Babe, you know, we weren't wearing suits and ties, babe. That is, it's a social construct. Religion is a social construct. It's sociologically proven, my love. It's a social construct. All right, I don't want to hear anything else, man. It's just so difficult because everyone's so uneducated. I feel like I'm out here like trying to educate a whole world, like a whole generation, man. Friggin' heavy is the crown that wears the, what is it? Blood clot. And it's all just little kids. They don't know nothing about nothing. They're just doing GCSEs. All right, let's get into it. Prophecy culture, demonology, and warfare preaching provide ready-made delusional themes. Grandiose, prophet, persecutory, Jezebel spirit, demon, Delilah. Heavy is the head that wears the crown. Ooh! Queen of the megachurch cults. It's perfect. It's a man-made tradition mixed with Judaism and laws. Yeah. And do you know what? We see the cultural element come into it when the cult leader could be Nigerian, Brazilian, whatever, and then we'll see the culture. Like UCKG is a Portuguese speaking church because of Macedo. RPF have a very Nigerian culture because of thingy. Dag Dag tries to do up. Dag just thinks he's a whitey, do you know what I mean? But it's a Ghanaian cult, so you see the mixture because he's half Swiss. That color is beautiful on you. Oh, thanks, babe. Oh, it just shows that you gotta have a good heart, man. Do you know what I mean? Because even when you're looking a mess. All right, guys. Dissociation and trance-like states can feel ego alien. Yeah. So they can have these grandiose ideologies of myself. Like the ego aliens are like Jessies, and like they sit in their room chair. They just do that. Them type of man, they've come from like criminal backgrounds, been in GANGs, so they've got that set, all of that anger, they all take it out. Listen, they're addicted. They worship that street evangelism, not Christ. If everything was to get shut down tomorrow, what would they do? Their identity is in that. They'd fall apart. Then we'd see them going to psychosis here. I really hope something else happens so that all of them just lose it. That's what I'm hoping. Because I wouldn't mind another lockdown, Charlie. Do you know what I mean? I love spending time by myself. All right. In coercive settings, these experiences are interpreted as demons or the Holy Spirit rather than stress, disassociation, making help seeking harder. So, guys, voice hearing, someone can say that they're hearing voices and whatever. They could be saying that they're hearing from God. They would actually think that this person's a prophet if they were if the religious hallucinations and psychosis wasn't going against the doctrine. If it's in favor of the doctrine, someone could be in full-blown psychosis and they will be hailing them as the great prophet of the church. Because if someone's in psychosis but they're saying they had a dream, and in the dream God lifted up Dag on this throne chair and the bright light was shining on him, and they heard a voice saying, this is the one, the prophet that God has sent to the nation, like they'd have them up there speaking, but they're in active psychosis. But it's because they're saying something that further validates the malignant narcissist grandiose ideologies of self. So they're all mad. Do you understand what I'm saying? They're all in this bubble of psychosis. Do you see that someone can be mentally impaired, actively in a schizophrenic episode or a religious psychotic episode, but they will perceive it as the voice of God? And this is the problem. We've got malignant narcissists who are mentally unwell, and they are hearing voices in their heads. They are not well, and they are justifying it by saying that they are hearing from God. All right, that's why we're in this mess. So that's why God's had to start waking us up. That, guys, when you start seeing people from Africa waking up and the gal them are coming on and they're like, no, with religion, we see that changing. That's when you know. Because when I knew was when I started speaking out about halfway into the year of last year, when I started getting Ghanaian members, like Ghanaian survivors, coming on my live, speaking out in their full voice, like exposing it up. That's when I knew, yeah, people are waking up. Because if people are waking up in Africa, that's in our epigenetics. That slavery, that colonization is deep rooted. Like we there's a theory called self-fulfilling prophecy, and it supports the theory of epigenetics in terms of, it's like we've got that the acism and the slavery. It's like the memory of it. It's in our epigenetics. It's in our genealogy, and we carry it through. So we can start to fulfill those prophecies of bowing down to the whitey man, seeing ourselves as less inferior, colorism. It all comes through that, the internalization of the HEATE towards ourselves. All right. And that's what we see. We see a reflection and a mirror of it in the church cult. That's why there's no way you can sit down and say that. You can say you don't agree with me, but if you don't agree with me, could you please come with your factual based discourse and an argument? I would like to see arguments for and against what you're saying. You're not just going to come with the scripture, devil, demon, against witch. That's all they can say, because they don't have the education, guys. They haven't unpacked trauma. A lot of these guys are off the roads. They've been in and out of jail their whole life. They could barely string together a sentence or spell. Do you understand what I'm saying? A lot of these guys have survived through manipulation. They're spiritual antennas, because a lot of these guys, they haven't done well in school, but they're street smart. And it's like they rely on their resilience. You know, those parts of their brain, like it's like they just got this knowing. They just got to feel it. They're very woke, very, very in tune, because they've had to, like the real man them. That's why I like those guys, because the real man them who are like doing big moves and that, they've got to go off their gut. Like, is there a feeling something's up? Or, you understand what I'm saying? They've just got that ting in them. Do you understand? But that becomes unalived and luck off when they come into the cult. So what they've got is they're just uneducated, because all of their resilience, everything they've learned from the hood that makes them woke, makes them perceive danger ahead of time, they've lost it all, because they've been deprogrammed. So the most vulnerable ones are the uneducated guys, you know, or girls or whatever from deprived backgrounds that have been GMs or wannabe GMs or whatever. They are the most radical and the most indoctrinated, and usually they'll kind of be pastors of youth churches and things like that, and they're so extreme. They have absolutely no identity out of being a pastor. It's so sad. All right, that's why people stay away from me. They're not scared of me physically, they're scared of what I know. They're afraid that I'm speaking their innermost deepest secrets, their thoughts. I'm reading their thoughts. They don't, it's like nothing can be explained, but they don't want to say it's from God. So they'll say I'm dabbling in other things, or it's this or it's that. But they're afraid because I'm talking about their marriages behind closed doors. And they're such good actors. They're afraid because I'm talking about them. They don't want to come on and listen to me because it's the truth, and the truth hurts, and the truth will set you free. They don't want to be set free. They want to stay in their self-sealing systems, in their fake marriages, in their life. They want to stay. So that's why you just have to respect it, guys. It's also free will. They also have a choice to stay in there. They also have, because some people, they can't survive in the outside world, guys. They've had too much trauma. All right. How to identify religious spiritual psychosis in church cult context. I'm going to take a break. Eat something, and then I'm gonna come back. Maybe I should come back here, innit? How to identify religious. Yeah. All right, guys, let's take a break. How long have I been on here? All right, I've been on here for an hour and 20 minutes. Let's take a break. When I come back, we're going to be looking at how to identify religious spiritual psychosis in church cult contexts. We're going to be looking at red flags that clinicians use to look at these types of symptoms and psychosis. We're going to be looking at reality testing and flexibility. We're going to be looking at perception and control, functioning and risk, group level clues. We're going to be looking at differentiating healthy spirituality. We're going to be looking at why survivors' accounts matter, how you can set yourself free, cult tactics of coercive control, and a quick practical screening guide you can use to identify this. So guys, this is one not to be missed. I'm not gonna lie. Thanks for the follows, guys. Tell your people them, man. If you lot know survivors, tell your people them. And I'm not doing up church call. Tell them, share with a friend. Did it? No, this can actually help people. Also, I've got the live recorded on Instagram and YouTube. I don't know if I'm gonna make the breakfast share. All right, let me go, guys. Let me go. All right, I love you lot, man. Seriously, I really do love you guys. Has it helped? Is it helping? Guys, is the content I'm putting out helping? I hope it is. Give me about an hour. I'm going to go and have some breakfast, and then I'll be back. I like saying that. I'll be back, the Terminator. All right, guys, love you. YouTube, I'm going to go first here. Bye. Bye.